Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Forgotten Generation podcast with your host, Troy. And today's guest, we have got Pelumi, who will be talking to us all about their social action journey. So, hello, lovely to meet you.
Hello, hello. How are you? How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. Really excited for the podcast. Congratulations. Well
Oh, thank you
done.
so much. Thank you indeed. It's so good to have you here today with us for our listeners. And so, the first question I would like to ask you is what is your use of social action?
My social action is just all about using creativity, so using like podcasts and content creation to help young people and to help like get messages across for people to talk about like racism, for people to talk about healthcare and just content creation really is my social action and like using poetry. Yeah.
And it sounds very creative, your social action.
Yes, it is. And I like that because I think that sometimes people need to see things to, believe it, to understand it. Like they need to be able to like process through visual aid of like they need to see it through a visual show or like hearing through a podcast, like because I think sometimes having like a document to read about like, oh, what's going on. I don't think that works for a lot of people. Like I feel like some people need to have other means of like communication really in a way that is accessible to them. Yeah.
That is so motivating, isn't it? Because that's so incredible. And so, what are you part of? Is there any organizations that you're part of that actually brings you a voice?
So I'm part of like the FEA, which is the Fair Education Alliance. I'm on the youth steering board, but I'm getting older now, so I think like I'm gonna have to like find something else because like it's up to 25. So and I'm 24 now. So yeah, I'm part of that, and then I do work with like the I Will movement. I also do work with like the NHS Youth Forum, which was with the British Youth Council, but sadly they are disbanded now. And yeah, I think I've just done a bit of this, a bit of that. Like, I also work with a charity in Manchester called Equal Education Chances, and we support young people and their families, especially like within migrant support. And yeah, so it's just kind of I've been very lucky and very blessed, really, with the different opportunities, and I'm very thankful to God, and the different organizations that I've like managed to work with.
Wow, well, that's amazing that you're so appreciative about God because I think God is so important because I think God really guides us and really nurture us and where we want to go in our life.
He does, and he's so good. Like he is too good. He is so, so good. And he's just been so helpful. And I'm just so grateful because I feel like if it wasn't for like God and like I don't think I would be in certain spaces, certain rooms. Just the favor of God is amazing, really. So I'm very, very grateful.
I'm so glad you're feeling grateful because I'm feeling actually grateful by actually, talking to you because you're really honestly making me feel blessed, like in the be who I am today,
Oh,
which I think is wonderful.
absolutely. And like it's so cool to see you do your podcast, Troy, because I think that like you're going to just keep excelling and keep getting better and like having more guests and having like really, really good and important conversations. And it's amazing to see and to be part of the network, be the change network that you are part of. I think that's also amazing as well. So shout out to you, shout out to you.
Oh, I thank you so much indeed. And it brings me to think about actually what is the I Will movement that you said, and what is it? And what does it mean to you to be part of the I Will movement?
The IWO movement is what helps young people nationally and within the four nations. It helps young people enact their youth social action and it empowers them to like, have and do their youth social action in whatever capacity they can. And the IWO movement is really like the pioneer, I would say, of like galvanizing young people into doing work that we do in terms of youth social action. And it's really helped been a leading force into how young people are able to do great things, be in such amazing rooms like Parliament and like, have host events, like be part of decision making. They empower young people through listening to young people and giving them the tools that they need to be able to make change. And I think their real movement is so amazing, and they have different partners like the Dino Awards. They have the two organizations that run it is the UK Youth and Voluntary Remitters as well, and those are organizations are amazing within the work that they do, and the I Will movement is a forefront within that, and it's amazing to see the great work that they do. So yeah, that's what the I Will movement is, and for me, the I Will movement has allowed me to really step outside of my box and really like be creative and share my poetry and share the things that I find important, and they've been very amazing. Really, I could not say anything bad about the I Will movement. They've just been absolutely fantastic. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. Honestly, it was so moving listening to you saying that. I think it's so amazing that it actually built you up and made you the person who you are today, which I think is so inspiring. It's so empowering, I think, for any listeners who are listening. Viral movement brings you a sense of who you are and wants you to build your confidence and also because and also like inspire others to make a difference in the communities and also the local areas that you live in.
The work that the work that some young people have been doing within the I Will movement is incredible. Like there's so many people like Jonas who does great work. There's Lella that does great work. There's Gracie that does great work. Like all of the people within it, they do absolutely amazing work within climate, within education, within like their local community. Yeah, it's a great thing to be a part of. It's a great movement to be a part of.
I am so touched. Honestly, it's such an amazing thing for you to say and really so moving. So thank you so much for saying that. And so what other issues that I think you think that young people are facing, are finding hard at the moment?
I think the issues that young people are facing are cost of living crisis. For example, I think that that's really affecting young people in a way that we've never seen before. There was a recent vote to scrap the two-child benefit, and that got some MPs suspended, which I think it just goes to show the state in which we are in as a country, and like how young people are being disregarded um in a way that isn't fair to them. Because at the end of the day, all of this is going to affect young people, and it's going to affect their education, their willingness to even like try to like go to youth social action and do things outside of school that will help encourage them, because they don't have the full support of the institutions around them and through no fault of their own. And I think that what we need to do is have more honest conversations and like, get things done within Parliament, and also look outside of the government to help young people look into more corporate spaces and see if like corporates can help, provide what the government can't in the monetary value for young people, so that there can be a movement forward and there's no stagnation really.
On agree with you on those issues. And so are you wanting the government to take more action in on the cost of living crisis, to be more unengaged about it and more taking action and more really wanting to speak to young people about the issues that they're facing with the cost of living crisis?
Think they should bring more young people to the table, really, so that they can have those conversations and like young people can talk about their lived experience. Because I think lived experience is one of the most important ways and crucial ways to make changes, especially through co-productions of like projects of like what you want done. I think lived experience, that voice needs to be around the table. And I also think that, the government has said that they're gonna work, they're gonna make a task force about like child poverty and like, so we do have to wait and see what they have in mind, but also we have to be clear and like, you know, fight for what we know is right, and we can't let that we can't let that go really.
And yes, you literally got to take action and really get your point across on what you think is right.
Yeah,
And get
you
young
do.
people actually involved in that, like on discussions and to really make that change.
Definitely. That's it. And I think it's really important for us to do it in a way that is where we communicate, where we're helping each other. And yeah, it's just really, really important in a way to do that.
Good, I'm glad. I'm really glad. So, like, and is there any other issues that you think are facing young people as well as the cost of living crisis?
I feel like in terms of like schools as well, we saw what happened over like over the school term like in this year of like schools are literally crumbling down. And I think that's scary. We need to have more investment in the infrastructure that and in the buildings that young people are going to be in, so that it's safe for them. Yeah, I think young people are facing so much, especially through COVID, especially through the changes that have happened. It's really important that the government and the society around them help.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And like, everyone should come together and really take aim on what we want to make change and really take the action now instead of doing it later in the line.
Exactly.
I don't think that happens actually, where actually people write things down, but they don't take action on what needs to change. And it's like about 6 months, but they don't get it done, they don't get it delivered. And it's like, what are you doing?
Literally, literally.
Yeah, so I think it's so important that you said about that. And so, has there any been any like barriers by doing youth social action? Has there ever been a time where you've been like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore because I feel like I'm not listened to. So, have you ever had those barriers?
Think with youth social action, I think it can get like tiring. You can get burnt out because you're always around like so much, and it can get a lot. It can, but I do think that like because you're doing it for a reason, that's what propels you. That's what keeps you going, and that's what helps you understand like, okay, I have to keep pushing, I have to keep growing, and but yeah, it can get quite tiring and like because it can be so constant. There's so many things happening all the time, and it can be a lot. But yeah, but youth social action is amazing. Like, and the opportunities that we get is also amazing. But yeah, I do understand how it can feel very crazy.
Yes, because I think it can feel crazy, can't it? Because I think actually sometimes I think we all get to a point, I think, when we do youth social action where we just want to do everything. And in a way we
Yeah,
can't do everything. But like
yeah,
we have to like spread it out for other young people to do because
yeah.
we always want to do things ourselves. We also need to learn actually there is other young people that are passionate like ourselves to do these type of things.
Exactly, and I think that's what it is. It's just about making sure that you have that awareness as well, just to be like, okay, you know what, this is what I can do, this is what I can't do. Like, really just help yourself, really, so that you're not burnt out all the time.
Yes, and in a way, actually, to like look after yourself and self-care yourself a bit more.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
And did you ever think that your youth social action made you have that self-confidence in yourself to believe in yourself more?
Yes, because I feel like you always had to like do. You're always growing within your social action. You're always changing. You're always like adapting to what's needed. Um, and you always have to like dig deep within yourself to be like, okay, what else can I do? How else can I help out? How else can this can I be of service to the people, to the community that you're serving? So there is that, like like there is that ability just to always think, okay, right, this is what I need to do, this is what I want to do, this is how I think I can help. And you have to find a way to like do that in a way that's helpful to you and in the way that's helpful to the communities that you're serving. So yeah, there is that as well.
And absolutely so empowering that is. And that I think you
It
just
is.
because I think you just got to believe in yourself a bit more. I think that's sometimes I think what we go through, I think in our 20s or actually when we're growing up as young people, that we actually sometimes just struggle to, I think, be ourselves, because we always want to fit in to what everyone else is doing. But I think we need
Exactly.
to actually stand out in our own self and be like, you know what, we can do things on our own. Because I think sometimes we want to do things like everybody else, but we can do things on our own. We can achieve things on our own. We can get to where we want to be on our own.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
but I also think with the right support, it can help.
Yeah, literally, literally.
And so, what are your advice for professionals and um, and the government about what you want to see happen and change for young people in the next years or so?
I feel like the government needs to be open to having conversations with young people and actually inviting young people to the table so that they can be part of the conversations for change. I think that it's important to listen to young people. I think it's important for the ones in charge to realize that there's been so much change from when they were young people to now that they need to try and see it through the lens of young people in this generation that we're living in and not be so pragmatic of like, okay, yeah, this is and so rigid in the way in which they do things because it just doesn't work out like that. And it's not fair to the young people that to young people of this generation, and we need to do it in a way that is inclusive as well, so
Yes.
that young people don't feel left out. Um, yeah, yeah, that's what I would say.
Yes, and inclusive and more like and diverse. And also like and include those with on disabilities and to really come together as a whole community. Is that what you're trying to like say in a way?
Yeah, yeah.
I think
So like
that's
people need to be more like um we need to see more young people within like the conversations with the government. Like we need to see more organizations like UK Youth, like voluntary matters, like the Scouts, like having those conversations with the government and allowing young people to be in those rooms as well so that they can be part of the change that is needed for them as well. Because I feel like if you don't speak to the people that these policies and these, laws are affecting, you don't really know the impact. But once the government knows the impact, hopefully then there can be change.
exactly. And I think it's so important that all young people go to the table with the government and actually speak about the issues that they face and work
Yeah.
together in a co-produced way in order to be
Yeah.
heard. Because I think sometimes it's all separate, isn't it? Because I think like
Yeah,
things
it
are
is.
separate and like no one's really trying to take on board on what young people are saying, but just writing things down, but not really acting on it. So it's important that that co-produced plan with young people and professionals come together in that.
Yeah, exactly.
That is absolutely a great discussion. I'm just hoping that, like our professionals listening to this, or organizations listening to this, but actually we want young people to get involved in these decisions. So please,
Yeah,
get them to, make decisions as well as yourselves.
exactly. Because I think that that will then allow for understanding as well, so that people can actually, like young people can understand the government can understand young people. There can be that like partnership working of like, okay, how can we all work together for the better for everyone? Like what can we all do to help each other kind of thing.
Exactly. Coming together as a team, as a community, that is just inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's so good. And so, what is your advice to any young person who would like to be part of making a change and making a difference in their communities, in their youth social action? And what would you say to them if they want to take part?
I would say that the things and the visions and the projects that you want to do are all within you. Make sure that you have the right people around you to be able to communicate that with them and for them to be able to help you and you help them. Make sure that you don't let rejection and no's get you down. Acknowledge them for what they are, but then always know how to pivot and always know that there is way more opportunities to come and way more greatness to come that you would have even ever thought. Um, and yeah, keep going, like, and do it. Apply to be an ambassador, apply to be part of that steering group because you just never know what could happen. And you don't know how your life could change so much. So yeah, there's greatness that awaits you and there's great experiences that awaits you too.
Wow, wow, wow. What a speech that was. I was just like so taken away on what you said about it, about actual greatness and just keep going and actually and apply for stuff. I think it's so important that young people do that, that they can see the opportunities and gain experiences and also skills.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that like you just have to keep going. Like keep going, take a break where you need to, and keep fighting for what's important.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree on that statement. Absolutely important. And I very, 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 very much recommend to keep going, not give up. And just not honestly, and just be yourself.
Yes, be yourself because that's another thing. Like be yourself because you can only do that. You can only bring yourself into a room and like try and bring your whole self as well. Like and protect yourself as well when you need to. And but yeah, be yourself. Be yourself, absolutely.
And absolutely right, indeed. And is there anything you'd like to say on this podcast? Or anything we haven't touched on today?
I think that there are like some times where we see a lot of crazy things that happen in the news and madness that happens in the news and how it affects our different communities and how it can be a lot. So what I will say is that make sure that people take that time to have a break, to recollect, to re-energize themselves and to protect themselves. And also if you're somebody that needs that time to be by yourself, so that you can recharge, take it and do it and for yourself so that you don't get burnt out. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Absolutely. And that's so motivating to anyone listening to this as well. And well, like, where can we find you?
Yeah, so you can follow me on like with on Instagram with Pelumi, Plumifatayo, and then you can also follow the podcast that I do is called Crisis Talk, on all social platforms, and it's on wherever you get your podcast really. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, like Spotify for podcasters, like wherever you get a podcast, you can listen to Crisis Talk. So yeah.
That's great. And thank you ever so much for coming today to speak about your experiences in youth social action and just your journey, in fact, because it's so motivating. And I'm hoping that all listeners who have listened today can feel that empowerment and that motivation that you have, Prima. So thank you so much. Please support the podcast by subscribing and rating the podcast. I'd love to hear what you like and what could be better for future episodes. If you want to find me, you can find me on Instagram and I will .troy, and also on X I will _Troy. Tune in to next week's episode